Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pursuit of Relentless podcast. You have your host here, Alaina, and today I have one of my RT buddies. Yeah, I'm so excited. His name's Greg Birch with us today, and I am pumped for you to get to hear his story. I've been following him for a couple of years now and through the RT journey, and it's been really cool to just get to know him, and I'm excited for him to be able to share his wealth of knowledge with you guys today. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Alaina, for that introduction and for bringing me on. I really appreciate it.
I'm excited. I want to talk about what you have behind your head. And for those who are not on YouTube, it's talking about mindset and just seeing yourself as the person that you were born to become and stuff like that. But
yeah,
first, I want to have you introduce yourself and really just tell people what got you started as an entrepreneur, and if you've always been like that, or if it kind of just came about one day and you ran with it.
yeah. So I'll tell a story when I was in a young high school. I was like a freshman, I believe. This was, I'm gonna date myself. This was back when computers were not normal. Like, it wasn't normal to have a personal computer. Internet was just coming out, like AOL, dial-up internet, and so my dad was big into technology. He always has been, always want to get like the new stuff. And so he had gotten a printer, and I was playing around the printer, and I realized I had a scanner on it, that I could scan things. And it was old. I mean, the thing was clunky, but it still scanned pretty well. And I was able to scan, and I learned how to manipulate documents. And I had this idea. I was like, you know what? I could change grades on people's report cards. And so I literally ran a business in my high school that started small, and I got really big by the end of the year, where I would change people's grades for them, and I would change it to whatever they wanted to. They just tell me what they want to change to. Now, the beauty of this is that they always had to come back every single 6 weeks, because they had to change their other grades back to whatever they changed them to. So even if they got good grades, they still had to continue to change every 6 weeks. So it was built-in residuals at that point.
That's great.
And I would increase the price, and then I would be like, hey, if you bring your buddy on, I'll lower the price. And I would get people to bring a bill. And I would spend every single report card time frame, I'd spend like a good half a day scanning, changing grades, and printing out the new ones and giving it to my buddies, my friends, and people that I knew in school. And so my mom found out about it a couple of years later. She found out this because she found a scan, and she was like, what the hell is this? Now, I never changed my grades, because I didn't care if, like, I was just going to eat it. I didn't want to have to go through that in case my mom ever found out. It was less punishment, but I made quite a bit of money doing that.
That's so funny. So always been thinking about business and how to make money and stuff like that. I have one of my friends, she keeps posting on Facebook. She's like, my son was Googling businesses for kids under 10. I was like, you should give him a high five. I was like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, how cool is that your kid is just like, I'm going to go be an entrepreneur. I want to figure out how to make my own money. If you're not going to give it to me, I'm like, wow, I love that.
I would promote that. I'd promote that so hard. So knowing what I know now, definitely. But a little bit about me, I'm a country kid from Tennessee, growing up, born and raised Tennessee, military parents, military family. I ended up serving. I knew I wanted to serve at a young age. I ended up competing in my senior year to get a full ride ROTC scholarship, Reserve Officer Training Corps, and I got it, and I won it. So
cool.
I got my college paid for in order to commission as an officer into the Army and go follow Uncle Sam's orders. And so out of high school, I went straight into college. I started off as I'm very artistic. I love to draw. I haven't drawn in a long time, but I was very competitive. I was a competitive drawer in high school. Actually, I've competed nationally at different competitions, and I was always big into drawing ever since I was like 3 years old. I was actually like exceptionally well. And my mom's, always had people tell her, like, you need to put him into like art lessons.
Yeah.
Because when I was like 3 years old, I was drawing, instead of, most kids would draw like what's called tadpoles, where it's like the circle and then like the stick, and that would be a body. I was drawing like a head with a neck and like arms and fingers. Now, it didn't look great, but I understood the concept that a stick wasn't it when I was really young. And it just continued to progress. And as I got older, and so I'm very artistic. And I started off college as an art degree with studio art with concentration of drawing. Started doing. I started my business. I started doing a business in college where I was doing tutoring for students that were both students and then also students who were like, "Hey, can you teach kids?" I was like, "I can teach anybody to draw." So, I would use the studio art, the studio that we use for drawing and for class. I would use it in the evenings because we were allowed to use it whenever, and I would bring people in and I would teach them. And I charge them $10 an hour, each individual person, just to teach them how to draw. And I'd do different practices and different strategies, and we'd go through drills, like drawing drills. So I did that for basically for two years while I was in college. Anywho, realized that my school studio art degree is actually a 5-year degree, and I didn't know that. But I had to graduate in 4 years because that's all my scholarship paid for, and I was my ultimate goal was to become an officer and go serve and go to combat. So my junior year, I changed from art to military history, U.S. military history, because I was done, all my prerequisites were done, all my minor class was done. Is just finishing my major. That was the shortest major, and I could cram classes. And I did 21 credit hours of U.S. military history classes for 2 semesters to graduate on time. And that was the worst. That was the worst experience of my life. Just about.
That's a lot of history.
That's a lot of history, a lot of papers, a lot of tests, a lot of school.
How much of that did you keep in your brain? Like, that's a lot to hold in there.
I brain dumped a lot. Yeah. I still have a passion for U.S. military history though. Mm-hmm. So deployed, I went into the military, served for 11 years. I started off as an armor officer, in transition became a military intelligence officer. As an armor officer, I went to Iraq, served for a year, and to all of 2009. All 2009, I was in Iraq, in the Kirkuk province, and then came back, transitioned to military intelligence, went to military intelligence captain career course, and went into what's called human intelligence, or HUMINT, which is basically interrogations, running sources, like running informants, stuff like that. Got some specialized training, really awesome training. Learned how to elicit information from people and how to basically influence people through conversation, or to get information or get with them to do what I want them to do. And spent the rest of my military career doing that, and went to Afghanistan shortly after that in 2012, all 2012. And I ended up getting out of the military. I was married, had 4 kids at the time when I was by the tail end of my military career. Got a divorce, and that kind of changed everything in 2015. Changed everything, and where I thought I was going to be a military career guy and just do the military for the rest of my life. Now everything's kind of changed, and now I don't want to miss time with my kids because we're splitting custody, and she lives in a different state, and there's all these complications. So I ended up getting out, and so that started my civilian journey. When I first got out, I ended up getting a job with public storage, and I had a buddy of mine that was a commander with he was my company commander in Iraq. Wow. We were both captains together, and he got out way before me, but he had transitioned, got into public storage, was a district manager, became a senior district manager, and was about to become a regional vice president. And he was like, "Dude, why don't you come work with public storage with me? It's basically a mid-level track that gets to executive level leadership, starts at a district manager position." So I did it, got the job, went through the interview process, fucking hated it. Can I curse on this? I'm sorry.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Okay. Fucking hated it. I was like, man, this is terrible. Cause it was just a monthly storage wars over and over again. And something hit me, because I was just like, oh, dude, it was collections. People don't pay their bills, calling people, trying to get them to pay their $30 a month storage bill. They don't. You got to cut the locks. You got to do an inventory. You have to sell the storage unit. It was a constant process, and it was just mind numbing. And it hit me. I was like, I'm not in the military anymore. Uncle Sam doesn't tell me what to do. I can do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
There's no reason to sit here and do this when I don't want to do it. So I ended up quitting, and I didn't even have a job. I just quit. And I kind of was on a hiatus or on a little sabbatical for probably about a month. And I was looking at jobs. I was on Indeed, and I ended up finding an Indeed article that said sales leading to management. And I was like, starting average pay 60,000 can be up to 90,000 depending on experience, blah, blah, blah. Make six figures after your first 12 months easily, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, I got a lot of leadership experience. And I know how to sell because I used to sell terrorists to give me information. So yeah, let's do this. So I put in my resume. They replied right away, and they're like, yeah, come on in. And the company was a fake company. It was like I Googled, I could try to find it, couldn't find anything. I show up, it's a completely different, it was a captive insurance company. And it was a group meeting with a bunch of people all trying to reply. And I was just like, I don't know about this.
Yeah, that sounds odd.
I don't know.
They're just different.
It was odd. I felt a little put off, but at the same time, I stayed because I was like, I'm not doing anything else. I'm not working. I need to start making money.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked around the room and I saw everyone had nice suits. They're all fitted suits. They all had nice watches. In the parking lot, there was nice cars. And I was like, there might be something here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stayed and I listened to everything and I kept a very open mind. And as I listened and I watched, I realized, I was like, and I looked around the room and I was like, there's nothing special about any of these people here. There's like, I can outperform all of these people. And if they're making money, I can definitely do it. And so I had no real like want or desire to sell insurance, but I was like, but it's a sales position, you can make money. So that's really how I started. So I went ahead and I got my license, and this company allowed you to start selling while your license was in process. So you could sell with a temp license, and because it was captive and they could take on that risk. And so I started selling with my temp license. I got on like mid to end October 2017, and there was a competition going on that started the last quarter, started from October to the end of December of 2017. And it was like the top producer competition. And it was like all agents that were brand new or had been there for less than 2 years. And they were a certain position. They were like a sales agent position still. They hadn't gone to supervising agent or anything like that. And man, I crushed that competition.
Mm-hmm.
Got number one agent. So I just came in and just rocked it. And I got a lot of help from my upline, got a lot of help from my manager. And he helped me with like setting appointments and stuff like that. And he really he teed up some sales for me, but did a lot of work, and I ended up crushing it, made a lot of money, and got an award from the company. It's actually, I'm looking at it right now. It's a football. This is MVP, 2017 MVP, Greg Birch. It's on the football. And got a company picture with the CEO, and got a frame picture of them. So that was kind of the rest is history. I'm like, okay, I got it. I could do this. Right. And I was like, I'm in. So I just kept at it, and I never looked back.
Yeah, we have similar stories. I got real fed up with my job too. I got to a point where I was just like super miserable, like the most miserable I'd ever been in my life. And I was like, why am I doing this? Like, what is holding me here? Oh, money. Mm. And I'm like, but the guy, so I was a heavy equipment operator at the time, and the guy who was on the side of the haul road sleeping made double my income. And I was like, there's something wrong here. Like, I'm the one risking my life. And yet this person's getting paid twice my income to sit there and do nothing. I was like, I can't get behind that. Like, no. And so that's how I got into the industry as well. I was laid off from the oil sands, and it was like, nope. I'm at the financial firm that I'm with, and it was similar, like, oh, you're entrepreneurial. I'm like, okay, sure. And they're like, well, we're looking for good people. And I was like, well, I like teaching people about money. And so I was currently at that time $100,000 in debt and clearly needed help myself. So I started it out, and I thought I was going to hate it. And because I'm a creative as well, like Red Seal pastry chef by trade. And I don't know, I build jewelry and I'm super creative as well. And I was like, insurance, eh? Okay. Like,
Yeah.
where
Not the
am I gonna go with
sexiest.
that? But you know what? I love the leadership side of things. I love
Yeah.
building a business. I love being an entrepreneur. I love having the freedom to have a podcast and,
Mm.
just do my own thing and have my own schedule. I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty good too. Right. So
Yeah.
I think when you find what you're passionate about, you have to run with it. Like, again, thank you for your service as well. Like,
Oh, well,
that's
thank you for your support. I thank you.
a big deal, man. I know that I don't have the balls to do that. Like, you know? So it takes certain people to be able to go and say, "Hey, I'm gonna protect my country." And I protect my country through my podcast, like putting out good content for people, getting people access to other individuals that can help them. And I'm like, "Hey, this is what I can do to contribute to my country, even if I can't go and be a part of the military here." But
Yeah.
I think that when you're in that mindset of contribution, everything that you want will come your way. I don't know if you've found the same type of thing.
I have. I think anytime you're of service and you're helping others, and you're putting the needs of others before your own, this is with sales, this is with leadership,
Mhm.
you're going to succeed massively. You help people get what they want to get, you're going to find success
Exactly.
every time.
What's your
So,
favorite part about business?
the challenges, the problem solving.
Me too, man.
Yeah,
You're a variety
it's
person, right?
always something. I mean, it's like there's a lot of variety
Yeah.
in terms of like the things that hit me on a daily basis or week. It's never the same thing. I
Mhm.
never have the same schedule. Um, I have certain meetings that I have on certain days that are always the same. But in outside of that, it's like today, for instance, I was listening to I was listening to Ed Milet's show, his most recent episode, and it's a great episode, by the way. If you haven't listened, you gotta listen to it. So, and I don't get anything for promoting a show, but it was a great show.
I promote a show all the
So,
time. I'm like, "Okay, watch
yeah, I
it."
was listening to the Rob Riggle episode at the tail end at the gym, and then I bled right into the new one. And the woman that's on there, the guest speaker, she's talking about marketing, and so she starts going into the importance of email marketing and having an email list and like controlling an email list. And I was like, oh, I've been thinking about executing this for the longest time.
Mhm.
And like really like because I have an email list, but it's like I don't really do a lot to actively grow it, but I do have an email list. I'd say it's like 500 on my email list right now, so not a lot. Like mostly people that are looking into Delta Financial or whatever. And so I was like, you know what? Based on what this woman's saying, like I started having all these ideas and all this stuff that like it really did spur a lot. And her name is Amy Porterfield. And it really did spur a lot of thought to where I was like, I called up my VP of operations, Kevin Begg, is like my right hand man. And I was like, bro, I got this idea. So I was like, listen, podcast, this, that, the other. So what I did basically is I drafted this whole thing in order to bring in more email lists and to grow the email list, and then ways that we can utilize the email list for business,
Mhm.
in order to either bring people in or to provide other services that I can do. And I spent all morning and afternoon recording content. Like I recorded literally for, I created a funnel. I created a web link. I set up some automation so that when people would fill out information looking for it, and I was like, I'm going to create all this free content that's super valuable. And then people get into it, then I can have them on my email list, and then I can start to drip on them and do all this stuff. And I created all that today, and I spent like all day doing it. But
Amazing.
it spurred right then, and I have the ability to do that because I own my business, but
Mhm.
it's also towards the business. And so, every day is different. Every
Mhm.
day is different, and I love that.
Yeah, I love that too. I think when I love it. I love it when people come in and they're like, "Alaina, there's no way you can help me." And I'm like, "Oh, watch me." Like,
Yeah,
"You don't know what I'm capable of." Right. So don't underestimate the power of one conversation, is what I normally say, because you just don't know who you're going to meet, how they're going to help you, how something they say is going to impact your life. And I
Mhm.
think when you have that growth mindset and you're just open to receiving and, learning from other people and not being like, they're judging me. No, they're not. They're trying to help you. And I think that's really, really valuable as well.
Absolutely. No, it is. It is. And I talk with my agents about it, and it's the difference between being on a sell mode to being on solve mode. And so you should see it as like being a problem solver in the sales process because you're there for them. They don't care about you. If you're in sell mode, you care all about
Your commission.
getting a commission. You care all about like hitting a sales target. You care all about making the sale. You care about the close. You care about that. That has everything to do with you, the salesperson. It has nothing to do with the person you're sitting with. So if you change your perspective and you're like, okay, well, now I'm going to focus on them and I'm going to be a problem solver. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm going to come in. That means you have to ask questions about them. That means you have to ask, be very interrogative, uh, drive out the information, live in their world to understand where they're at so that you can then find a solution from that. Because then now you're solving a problem. You're not just selling.
Yeah.
And when you can do that and you can change that, and it's very service based, right? And you can flip that lens in which you view the world, and it changes everything. It changes the way you sell, changes the way you lead. And
Our
those
leadership
both.
calls that net worth thinking. Net
Mhm.
worth thinking. So, like, building your legacy and how you're going to pass it on to your family. And I sit there and I look at my clients and I'm like, okay, how am I helping them achieve that legacy?
Yep.
Right? How are we helping them? And I'm like, I could be doing so much more when it comes to, like you were saying, giving out content and stuff like that. I do have an email list. Do I use it all the time? No. Like, that's something I need to get better at. So I promise to work on that. But I think that it's super effective if you can just give information. Because when
Mhm.
you give information, people know that they can fact check it, right? Make sure that you're telling the truth. Then they
Mhm.
build trust with you, and then they build relationships with you. And from there, hopefully, in our industry, you become their financial advisor,
Mhm.
or
Absolutely.
someone who's helping them take care of their finances. And there's no bigger need than that in this industry right now. Because when people actually go out and care about people and find out what their dreams and goals are, my job is not to sell them insurance, right? My job is to sell them the dream of what their life's going to look like. And I think that that is the most powerful thing that you can do for someone, is just get them thinking about what they actually want. Because I sit there and I go, how many hours do people spend on that stuff normally?
Mhm. Not
Not that
much.
much,
Not
right?
much.
So,
And especially in our industry, not at all.
yeah, it's
For what the
challenging.
products and services that we provide.
It's interesting because then people are like, "Oh, I didn't even know that was possible." And you're like, "Well, that's why it's good to have this kind of conversation, right?" And people don't need
Absolutely.
to shy away from having the money conversation either, because I think people are ashamed or like scared to not know everything. And it's like, guys, it's okay. It's okay if you don't know everything. I don't know everything either. So it's learning where to get information and like who you can talk to about the information that is going to get you where you want to be. But
Yeah.
it's not just going to be like, oh, you're wealthy overnight. Not usually. Usually it's you had to put in a ton of work and a ton of effort and a ton of focus in order to accomplish your dreams. Or else, are they really dreams? No, it's just like something we thought we might do, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's been a big learning curve for myself as well. Just switching industries and really focusing on what people are passionate about. And I don't know about you, but I've noticed a big change over the last couple of years from people going, I just want to be comfortable, to people going, I got to get this figured out. Like we got to make some changes here. And I'm excited for what's next. I'm excited to see the people come out of this era of the world and be stronger and be more sharp mentally and more focused on where they're going and I think when we band together like this, doing podcasts and collaborating and getting each other's information out there, then you're going to help somebody,
Oh,
even if you
absolutely.
don't know who it is. Like, that's so cool.
I mean, it's our the age that we're in and the way that information travels, and everyone can have a voice with a podcast, right? And it's
Yeah.
just it's easier than you think. And for those of you that are out there, they're like, well, I can't do a podcast. I promise you, there's something that you could talk about that's going to interest another person. Whether it's going to be one, and if one person's going to be interested, you have a market. There's other people in the nation or in the world that would be interested in hearing about what you have expertise in. I don't care if you're a plumber. Right.
Yeah.
You could come on, you could talk about it. There would be people that would listen. So you'd be surprised.
Yeah. It's
So,
interesting. What do you wish you learned earlier in your entrepreneurship journey?
oh man.
I know it's such a hard one.
It's a good one though. So I got a story. When when I first started, and I talked about when I first started, and I friggin' crushed it, and I made I made the top age in the company. Well, I ended up leaving that company. I went to another company, another captive company, worked there for a while, and the commissions were just really, really low, and it was a little bit of a grind. And then I got introduced to a brokerage, an independence brokerage. Independent reached out to me about going independent, and I was like, I didn't know anything about anything with kindred interest. I really didn't know much.
That's what we do.
And so I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, and then they start talking about like mortgage protection policies and like all this stuff and like leads and mailers. And I'm like, holy crap, you guys have pieces of mail that you pay for or people are interested. I'd never worked off leads. I was like, this is bananas. So started working there, did okay. Didn't do great. I did okay. I was performing better than most, but for what I put my potential was, it wasn't that great. And I left there. I went to another brokerage, which recruited me based off of leads because they had more leads, and the leads started to dry up, and I started to become very dependent on leads. And they were like, hey, we got these other leads, and they're like, you can get as many as you want in any area, blah, blah. So it was Facebook leads, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And they're cheaper too. So started testing them out, made the switch. And when I first got there, it was the end of 2018. This is basically almost a year after when I started. So I'd been in the industry for about a year, and I wasn't doing very well. I was making like 3 sales maybe a month. It was pretty bad, actually.
That was my first year too. I was like, I'm really not good at this.
Yeah, I declined from when I started to where I was at. I declined, and I started getting worse. And I reached out to this top producer that was in the company at the time. The company I was in, and he was crushing it. And he was doing like 10,000 annual premium, 20,000 annual premium a week. Just crushing it. Yeah. Just consistently. And I'm like, this guy's bananas. Yeah. So I reach out to him. I'm like, yo, bro. Yeah. I'm like, yo, bro, what leads you using? How you doing what you're doing? And he was like, he gave me some tips and some pointers. We talked on the phone maybe 15 minutes. And he was like, well, where do you live? And I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm outside Dallas. He's like, I run leads in Dallas. He's like, every 3 to 4 weeks, I fly out, I run business for a weekend, but I buy leads. I pay for mailers out there, and I just have them accumulate over 3 or 4 weeks. And then I fly out and run them. Mm-hmm. Next time I'm out there, I'll hit you up. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So, a couple weeks later, this is November 2018, Saturday before Thanksgiving. I was out at a dinner party with my girlfriend at the time. She was at a Friendsgiving. We're out at this place called Happiest Hour, having dinner with all of her friends. I don't even know any of them. And he gives me a call. He's like, hey man, are you available? You out? And I was like, yeah, dude, I'm out in Dallas. What are you doing? He's like, I'm on Fort Worth side. I just got done with my last appointment. I want to see if you wanted to link up and like have a drink. So I was like, hell yeah. Yeah, man, drive on over here, man. So he drives from Fort Worth all the way to Dallas, gets there, arrives, and then him and I start talking, and we end up kind of splitting off from the group and doing our own thing. So then we leave there and we go to this place downtown in Deep Ellum called Series Pizza, which is like the best pizza by the slice spot in Dallas. For anyone listening, you gotta go. If you haven't been, or if you are in Dallas, then you know what I'm talking about. So we're sitting down at Serious Pizza and we get a slice and we've got beer and we're sitting there talking. And so I'm like, hey, how'd you do? How were your appointments? And I'm trying to dig in and find out, like, I want to see if I can get some help, some sales help from this guy. And he was like, oh man, it's a great weekend. Really, he was like, dude, I always try to cram as much as I can because the end of year's coming. And yeah, this is my last appointment. I just finished. Ended my trip with 36,000. And I was like, 36,000 for the month? He's like, no, for the last 2 days. That was his weekend. Sold 36,000 of issue paid, simplified issue, all approved, life business. Like it was all approved. It was simplified issue. Like
for anyone who doesn't know what kind of income that would pay, it would pay a lot of money.
He was a high commission level. So
yeah,
he probably walked away with
a lot,
probably close to 40,000.
Yeah.
From that weekend. So I was like, I literally was like, what in the fuck are you doing?
What am I not doing right?
And I was like, dude, this is my backyard. You don't even live here. Like, I can't even do $3,000 in a month barely, and you're doing $36,000 in a weekend. Give me the secret sauce, bro. Come on, man. Like, what are you doing? And he's very calm and he looks at me and he's like, hey, Greg, let me ask you some questions and see how I can help. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. He's like, well, how's your leads been? How's your leads? Are you buying leads? And I was like, yeah, I bought leads. I bought some leads last week, and so you're buying leads every week? And I was like, well, I'm trying to get a return on my leads to make sure I can like pay for future leads. And so, I just got some leads last week. I've been calling them. I just made a sale. I'm waiting for the commission. It was to buy some more leads, blah, blah. He was like, okay. How's your dials? How's your dial days? Are you doing the amount of dials you need to do? Are you locking down your dial days and only dialing? I was like, I'm dialing like every day. I'm dialing at the morning, down in the evening, down in the afternoon. I'm trying to find the best time to like contact these people depending upon, them. He's like, okay, that makes sense. He's like, how about appointments? How many appointments are you setting? And I was like, well, last week I set 3 and I sold 1. So, but I only sat with 1, there were 2 no-showed. He's like, okay, all right. He's like, well, how about training? Are you going to weekly trainings every week? And I was like, man, I've been in insurance for about a year. Like most of the stuff I already know. And for something I don't know, I definitely attend. They did a training on this thing called an IUL the other day. I don't even know what the hell that is, but that's awesome. I didn't know we could do that. And he was like, okay. And he stops and he looks at me. He's like, Greg, bro, I know what your problem is. And I was like, what? And he leans in, looks me square into my eyeballs. And he's like, Greg, you think you're special and you're not. And I was like, this motherfucker right here, because like I got an ego.
You know me?
Yeah, I'm a friggin' snowflake. Like I'm a special person,
Yeah.
And I bet in my mind, I've deployed twice. I've led soldiers in combat. I got 2 Bronze Star medals. Like as an officer, to become an officer in the United States Army, like it's a very unique, like less than 1% of the entire population of the history of the United States has ever become an officer. Right. So I'm like, dude, I'm the top 1%, bro. I don't know what you're talking about. I am special. But he was right. He was right. So what I wish I had known, what I learned then, and it took me a while to realize, is there is no ego in business. And everybody has to do the fundamentals. And that's what he did. Is he asked me questions that had to do with the fundamentals. Am I investing in myself? Leads. Am I investing in myself? And he says, hey, I invest in myself every single week. It forces me to work the leads that I got from the previous week the proper way and satisfy all of them, because I know I'm investing with more than next week. I have to. It forces my action. Am I doing the dials? Am I doing the activity? Am I controlling my schedule? Am I doing the daily activity in order to generate the amount of appointments I need to do? Am I controlling my schedule and generating the amount of appointments I am? Right? Am I going to training? I don't care how good you are. You should be going to training in your company every single day, week, whatever they have, because the second that you think I know it, you will get an ego and you will start going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
You will. And it's happened to me every single time. It's happened to me every single time. And the second you think like, oh no, I'm good, you're not good. You're not good. Your ego's kicking in and you're going into a rut. And the only difference between a rut and a grave is the depth of the hole.
Yeah.
Period.
So
and so he was talking about these fundamentals basically of sales and of our business. And he told me, he's like, dude, I'm not special either. No one's special. He's like, the reason I can produce what I can produce, I go to training every single time. He's like, because I can learn something from everybody. Even if I know the topic, there's something I can take away.
Mm-hmm.
There's something I can learn. And that's being humble. That's humility.
Totally.
That's being coachable and teachable. You know, I invest in myself. I control my schedule. He's like, dude, next Thursday is Thanksgiving. That's a dial day for me. Do you think I'm going to be dialing on that day to call families and set appointments for Friday and Saturday? Yes. He's like, dude, this is a fucking business. Yeah. This isn't a hobby. This is my job. He's like, and guess what? Everybody's off, everybody's home, and that means people are going to answer the phones. And I'm going to use that to my advantage and be like, yeah, they're going to be like, you're working today. And I'm like, yeah, poor me. Like my boss is making me work. He's like, he doesn't know. Like I work for myself, you know, but I'm going to set all these appointments, right? And he's like, how many people do you think are going to be like, nope, it's Thanksgiving. I got family time. I'm going to spend time with my family, but I'm also going to take care of my business. I'm going to do that first. Right. He's like, those people, they're not succeeding like they want to succeed because they're not willing to do the actions necessary and the activity necessary to get where they want to get. He's like, I want to get where I want to get. And then the last thing he does is to show me his goals. He said, the last thing is that I have a goal. I write out my goals and I see it all the time. And he had written out his goal and he had said, this is his first year in the industry. It was in 2018. And he was like, I want to write $400,000 of issue paid production my first year. And he wrote it out.
Mine's on my cell phone.
There you go. That's powerful. That's just powerful.
All day,
and he was
every
like,
day.
And he showed it to me. He was like, I see this every time I look at my phone and it reminds me that I got work to do. Yep. He was like, and I put it out in the universe. And that year he sold 650,000. And so he shot over his goal. He did way more. Now, I went home that night and I was like, I was all these ideas and just swimming in my head. And I was like, you know what? F it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow. If anything, I'll be able to look at him and say, dude, you're so wrong. Right. I'm going to prove him wrong. Or I'm going to prove him right. Either way, I'm going to come back and have a great conversation. Right.
I'll win anyways. Yeah.
I'm going to win it anyway. So I went home and I took out 2 pieces of paper and I wrote, I'm going to write $400,000 of production in net price production in 2019. And I wrote on 2 pieces of paper. I put one on the wall next to my bed, and I put one on the fridge in my kitchen. I took a picture of one. I put it as my screensaver on my phone, on my lock screen, and then my home screen. So I saw it all the time. Now, in 2018, I sold about $75,000 worth of issue paid production. Made about $60,000 between all 4 companies that I was in. In 2019, I was in one company. I sold $425,000 of issue paid production. I beat my goal, which I wanted to do 400. And I just focused on the fundamentals that he told me.
Yeah.
I took my ego out of it. I went to every training, invested in leads every week. I controlled my schedule. I did the activity. I did the dials. And I set my goal and I saw it all the time. That's amazing. I was the same person. There was nothing different between me from 2018 to 2019, except for I got humbled. I got smacked down a little bit. And I was told, follow the fundamentals, stop trying to recreate the system. And that's it. People try to recreate the system for ego because they think that they're special. They think that they can skirt the system. They think they can do, I'm going to find another way. You're not going to find another way. There is no other way to become an entrepreneur. It's just doing the work.
Yeah.
Right. That's it.
Yeah. It's so funny because when I sit here and I go, I hope every single one of my teammates listens to this audio because it's the same thing. And when like you're going into training people, in our business, you're 100% commission. And it's like, if I can't teach someone how to make money, they're going to leave.
Yeah.
Right. So I have to
Yeah,
be
we gotta get them to make money as quick as possible.
Oh, like today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they quit, which I don't blame them, right? If they see the vision, they get the license, they get in the field, they're doing stuff, awesome. But if you can't get them paid, then they will never stick around.
Yeah.
And they'll never believe that they can actually make money. And I don't know, I had a lot of ups and downs, but 2018 was my year to shine. And I lost 100 pounds that year. I quadrupled the size of my business, doubled my income, but it was like night and day with my happiness levels and my
Yeah.
energy. And I was like, this is way better, right? I quit my site job and I was like, fuck it. I'm never doing that again. Like, you could not pay me enough money to go back and work as a heavy equipment operator, driving
Yeah.
here to here, here to here, here to here. I was like, it is numbing my brain. But you know what I did do? I listened to a whole bunch of personal development books,
Yeah.
12 hours a
That's
day. Holy cow. I listened to Rich Dad Poor Dad probably 800 times, you know, like John Maxwell books. I was listening to Darren Hardy. I actually downloaded at my Let's podcast, put them on a flash drive, took them with me, took a dry erase marker and would draw on the haul truck window so that when I parked my haul truck, I could write it in my notebook. And I was just putting that positive mentality in my head. And you were talking about that earlier of staying positive and just focusing your mind on what you're trying to accomplish. And then all of a sudden, boom, you can actually do it and you can quit your job and you can go, okay, I'm going to make this happen. And then there's people who are going to talk shit to you and go, oh, Alaina, you'll be back. You'll miss the money. And I just go, watch me. And they're like, you have such an amazing life. I'm like, yeah, I earned that. Like, I worked my ass off. Of course I earned that. And it's cool though, because then when you're living that lifestyle, you're actually giving people hope and like inspiring them to try and do something different because they see that you had the courage to do it. And if they know you and you were able to win, then they now believe that they could potentially win. And that's the ripple effect. So when you take on your own personal excellence, like Andy Frisella talks about, and that's what the pursuit of relentless is going out and trying to be your best every single day. I just sit there and I go, okay, if I failed yesterday, who cares? What did I learn? How did I grow? What can I do better today to better myself, better my business, better my relationships, you know? And I feel like when you're really focused on where you're going and like you have that mental clarity, it helps you so much in the long run, because even though you're gonna hit dips in the road or those hard times, you're also gonna have those super highs, right? Where you're on fire, you're the best, it's awesome. Yeah, I was that person too. All the number one trophies, right? But I sit there and I go, I was number one then. And when was the last time I got a number one trophy? Too long ago, right? And so I look at that and it motivates me to stay humble and stay hungry and to continue to run the numbers and to continue to talk about it and to continue to grow. And this week alone, one of my new advisors, he just got licensed like a month ago. He's like, I'll come for a walk with you in the morning. And I was like, perfect. So I can get up, I can do my reading, have some water, go for a walk, 7:00 in the morning, good to go. In the office by 9, you know, like there's no better way to keep yourself accountable than to have a buddy.
Yeah.
My husband's like, going out again, like on time. Good job, honey. I'm like, yeah, I got this. And it just has brought me a whole new energy just because I have someone to be more accountable to. Someone who wants to run alongside me as well, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's really cool because especially when you're in business, you got to have that one who's like a million times ahead of you, like Angela Bradford. I'm going to have her on the show again. I'm sure you know Angela.
I've met her.
I love that woman. She was my second guest ever on my podcast, and I'm going to have her back again to teach what she's learned because she went from just zero to hero. Like she's almost over like 350 grand a year. And that's just like compounding and compounding. And I'm like, girl, like she'll hit 500,000 this year at least. and I sit there and I watch her, and sometimes she calls me on the floor crying, going, I can't stand up right now. But I'm still going to look for the fact that my legs work and I can use them. And I'm like, Angela, thank you for being amazing,
Yeah,
because
her and I recorded together. She's awesome. She's
oh
awesome.
man,
Had her on my
so good.
podcast.
Yeah, she just inspires me every day. So there's people out there like that, and I'm sure you have a whole bunch of people that you're like, these people changed my life, and they probably don't even know who they are. But I think it's cool when you can at least put it out there and be like, hey, Andy, I sent you an email. Like, I told you my story. It's in your email. Just go check it, because it changed my life. And I'm telling you, this last year, if I didn't do Live Hard, oh my goodness, where would I be mentally, physically, emotionally? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
know
I finished Live Hard for the first time in November, end of
me
November.
too. Yeah,
Um,
it was nuts, man.
yeah.
And I'm like, well,
I was on Live Hard when we were at the Arte event.
oh, really? I
Yeah.
had just finished in October.
Yeah. I was actually at the start of it. I had just started on like October 30th.
No
So I
way.
was like a few days, less than 10 days in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
trying to eat clean.
Yeah. Everything, I was just like grilled chicken everywhere I went, grilled chicken and broccoli.
Yeah,
And yeah, that was interesting.
I
It
got
was a
chicken
good,
and green
it was
beans
a good time.
tonight. I'm like, yeah, meal preps yesterday. It was perfect. Made some soup, and yeah, it was good. Anyways, being prepared is a big deal as well. But we got to wrap it up here. So, any
Yeah.
advice that you would give someone who's new, starting out in business, who's like, I think I should probably try something new?
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
Um, time's your ally.
Yeah.
Time's your ally. Just be patient, okay, and just keep moving forward. Things will happen.
Mm,
Change always comes. So if it starts off, if it's bad, just know that that's bad. That's typical for all entrepreneurs starting off. Keep at it. The change will come. The night is always darkest before the dawn, and the
mm,
dawn's coming.
yeah.
So the good times are coming. You just cannot quit. You can't
Yeah.
stop. So
Never give
use
up.
time as your ally, and don't expect to have this massive success. And no matter what level of success you're at, right? If you're a brand new agent and you're looking at me, I started my own IMO, Delta Financial, right? And you're looking at me and you're like, man, I want to be there. Yeah, but you know where I'm at? I'm looking at like even bigger IMOs. I'm like, I want to be there. I'm frustrated too. So like, no matter what level you're at, you're always looking to like get to the next level.
Yeah.
And what got you here won't get you there. So I'm always trying to learn and level up and grow and do new things in order to take the organization to the next level and to take me to the next level and see,
Mhm.
like, there's things I'm doing this year. For instance, I'm speaking on 8% Nation stage. So I'll be on stage as a keynote speaker, where last year they had Ed Milet, right? And I get to speak with like big names of people, which is awesome for me. Like that was a big
Mhm.
goal of mine. And so now I'll finally get to do it. And like I want to start speaking on even more stages. I want to grow my podcast, and then I also want to grow my company. So there's all these things I'm trying to do. And it's just one foot in front of the other sometimes. Just keep going. Don't stop. And
I think the best word of advice that I got was, you've never been the person you are today.
yeah.
So like when you come up with these new things that you're challenged with, it's like, yeah, but you've never been this good. Like you're better today than you were yesterday because you're practicing. And so
Another way to say that is you never step in the same river twice.
yeah,
Because the water is always flowing and changing, and you're a different person when you stepped in the second time.
yeah.
Because you changed, you developed, you're a different person.
Mm,
And so for those of you that are listening, okay, I get a lot of because I'm big into fitness. I love working out, and we didn't talk much about mindset. I mean, we kind of did, but um, my other piece of advice is start physical fitness. Okay,
mhm.
and you don't have to go to the gym, and you don't have to be a bodybuilder or lift weights all the time like I do, which I'm not a bodybuilder, but I wanted to be for a while. But if you just get physical, and the power of physical fitness really does change your mindset drastically. And it helps. There's a study out there with the British Sports Medicine that showed it did 3 control groups. It did a control group of all people that had mild to moderate depression. And they they treated them. One control group was with medication. Second control group was with medication and exercise. Third control group was just exercise. And what they found is that in the metadata, there was literally no difference between exercise, the medication exercise, and medication. Okay. So
Wow.
exercise was just as powerful for getting rid of depression as medication. Here's where the study actually gets even more interesting is they went and they continued to look at these people further on down the line to see who had relapses, who fell off and actually had bouts of depression in the future. And with the all three of the groups, the first group, the one that did medication, about a 38% people had relapse where they had another bout of depression come in. The group that was depression, that was medication and exercise, wasn't much better. It was like 31%. The group that did just exercise, significantly better. It was like 8%.
Mm-hmm.
So just to show you that exercise can give you sustained health and happiness. It helps with depression, and it actually help people to create better habits. And so I'm big on fitness, and I get a lot of people that always says I talk a lot about fitness. I do 75 hard all the time. I'm actually in the transformation, the first form transformation challenge right now.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of people reaching out to me that's like, dude, what's your diet? What's your exercise plan? Blah, blah, blah. And I don't have time to answer everybody. I'd love to, but I love to help you. Okay. But I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not a certified personal trainer, and I'm not a dietitian, but I'll tell you what it is that I'm doing. So what I did instead, I said, you know what? I'm just going to create like a little video series of training that I kind of break down all of my physical fitness for others so that if you want to look at, I want to be healthier. I want to get this information, it's free to you. Okay. Wow. Just go to my website. It's www.deltafinanciallife.com/physique. Go there, you sign up, you get access to basically, and I provide all the videos. It's 8 videos where I break down diet, what diets I do, why I do them. And I talk about the science behind it and like how I got into it and what I've learned from it. I talk about mindset. I talk about, if you're a beginner and you're starting off beginning exercise, intermediate exercise, expert exercise, I go over workout plans, all kinds of stuff. There's a bunch of like the downloadable PDFs that would help you along your journey. If you're interested in it and you want to get healthier and happier in 2023, go use it. It's a free resource. I just want to help provide, information to everybody out there. So
that's why I think your shirt is perfect, because you say we ain't the same, right? And no one's the same. It's the people who are sitting there going, hey, I'm going to do what I can to give back to you so that you can go win anyways. And I think that is the most noble and best way to run a business out there is value add. So thank you. That's
what I'm here for.
I'll tag your social media and your website in the show notes. So if you guys want to get more access to Greg, please make sure to reach out to him. He's doing great things on social media, by the way, like high five.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I love it. You're doing some great stuff on there. And I'm like, I got to up my game for sure.
I spent a lot of time making reels.
I will do it. I promise I will do it. It's a new thing that I'm going to try out this year is like video content, because Ed and Andy always say, do something you're not currently doing next year. And well, we introduced YouTube in the last couple of months, and
nice.
It's interesting. Got my website all revamped and like looks good. My book got published, and I'm just like, all right.
Oh, so yeah, I wrote my first book too. I just finished it last year. So I haven't published it yet. I'm working with publishers. I'm trying to get a publishing deal, honestly, versus doing self-publishing. So I'm working with publishers right now to try to see if I can get a publishing deal. So,
okay, well, if you need help with that, reach out. I have some contacts for you.
Really? Yeah, I would love to.
Actually, shout out to Delilah in Arte. She's the one who hooked me up with all of the stuff to write my book. So Delilah is a really good contact to reach out to as well. Okay. I think her last name is Bernie, but I'll have her on the show as well to talk about publishing books and whatnot, because I learned a ton. And the it's a whole nother ball game. It totally
Yeah,
is.
there is.
So, yeah. Anyways, we are out of time. So thank you again for being on the show. I know
Thank
people
you.
got a ton of value out of today. And if you guys want to give back, follow the show, share it with a friend. Make sure that you get Greg some access to your content as well, right? Reach out to him and get on that email list that I know is coming. So, yeah, until next time, that is the Pursuit of Relentless signing out.